Hi guys, thanks for stopping by the channel again, checking out the latest video. I'm still not a whole lot more comfortable being sat this side of the lens than I am that one, so I'll try and keep my and my R-ing to a minimum. Today we're going to be looking at a DSLR cage. Specifically it's one for my Nikon D750. For those of you who aren't familiar, I suppose, with a cage, it's just a way of adding additional accessories to your camera, I suppose, mounting options more than anything else. The problem that you have when you're shooting video with a DSLR is that you start to accumulate accessories really quickly. You need things like shotgun mics, external mics. I'm currently using a Rode VideoMic Pro at the minute on my 5200. You'll need things like follow focus units, maybe video monitors. I use a little Atomos Ninja to record. Things like LED lights so that you can light your talent. These are all things that simply can't go on a hot shoe. You only tend to get one on a camera, and you'll soon find out that you need 4 or 5 different things. The problem with cages, I suppose, for the D750 is that they just don't tend to exist. There's just much more popular options out there camera-wise. Certainly for video, it's a much more mature market. For Canon, for things like the Panasonic GH3, GH4, for the mirrorless stuff, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, the Sony A7Rs. There's loads of stuff for the Micro Four Thirds and things, but there's just not an awful lot of stuff for the Nikon. So what I've found through an awful lot of research is that you tend to find you need a universal cage, and they tend to be crap, is the reality. They're horrible boxy units and you need to sort of build them up yourself. So while I was doing my research, I found a company called Camtree online. They're an Indian company as opposed to Chinese. They manufacture things in India. And without getting into the ins and outs of intellectual property and copyright theft, which is a sore point, but that's one for another video entirely, they basically make copies of other brands' gear, simple as that. The Redrock Micro Ultracage is one that I had my eye on until I started to look at how much it cost. The entire setup comes in the UK at around about £1,200. The carry handle alone, so we're talking like a BMX bike handle, that is £182 or something obscene. Again, it's just another case of price gouging when people see the word video and or SLR in front of it. Camtree do a direct inspired by version of it. Ta-da! Look at this little bad boy. As I said before, this is the Camtree Hunt DSLR. It's kind of universal, I suppose, but the interesting thing is that, as you can see from here, if I pop my little face in it like this, it's curved. It's curved to fit the Nikon D750. Well, it's actually designed to fit the D800, but I'll show you how it fits in a minute. It's stainless steel, all of it. There are a few little bits and pieces of this is rubber, that mounts on the end of plastic. Everything else is metal, and it's really well put together. It's covered in all the, I suppose, the accessory ports that you need. It's got 1/4, 20, and 3/8 of an inch. It uses industry standard 15mm rods. For those of you who don't know, these are so that you can slide either barn doors or follow focus units. They adjust really easily. They're just on a little sort of thumb screw. Simple as that. Slides in, little twist to lock, going nowhere. And these are also spring loaded. So what we'll do is I will give you guys a bit of a close up. We'll zoom in, and yeah, you can just see what I think of it and whether or not it's worth the money. Hint: it's worth the money. This was £85. This entire unit is less than the price of just a handle from the well, Redrock Micro. It also comes in 2 different flavours. It comes in just this standard cage, and it also comes as a full shoulder rig. I'll do a review of the full shoulder rig in another video, because for that kind of price I bought the whole lot. Why not? So come on in, let's check it out. Okay guys, so as I mentioned before, obviously we'll give you a little bit more information now around it with a little bit more detail. Like I mentioned, again, you've got the standard rods. These are just 15mm rods. You get 2 long and 2 short with the kit. They are male and female threaded, so if you wanted to, you can, if we just undo this sort of quick release, you can see here that they are threaded. so you can attach, lock them in if for any reason you needed to make them longer or shorter. It just gives you a couple more accessory points, I suppose. You get to choose where you want to mount these things to. And one good thing to mention there, and you might have noticed, is that these quick release sort of thumb locks are nice and easy to adjust. But if for any reason you've got some stuff bolted to it and there's anything in the way, they're on a spring, so you can just remove it, rotate it, pop it back and get your action again. That's really useful when you've got things mounted on the front like follow focus units. Speaking of which, just to show that these are a standard sort of size, I have in my hand a trusty Ginny rig. I think this guy is, yeah, he's a Ginny rig follow focus unit. Just to show that the standard slides straight on, up it goes, quick thumb twist, and there you go. Obviously if I had a camera and lens mounted, we are in business for that type of stuff. You know, I may as well leave it on for now, just so you can see. As we spin it around, obviously you can see it's shaped slightly, so instead of it just being a normal box, it's got a curve to follow the lines of the D750. One thing is a little bit annoying, and to be honest, it's a problem with the D750. It's not a problem with the Hunt unit itself. Is that the battery cutout, because it is really technically a universal thing, it's cut out specifically for nearly, I'd say, 90% of the cameras. On the D750, they decided to move the camera door around so it doesn't quite align, so you have to take the camera out to swap the battery. It's a bit annoying. It's certainly not a deal breaker, because as I mentioned before, this whole unit, if we remove this, if you ignore the follow focus unit, this whole setup was like £80, £82 I think it is at the minute on Camtree, and that's an absolute bargain. It's really good quality stuff. It's meant I can attach a lot of accessories. In fact, what I'll show you now is I'll attach a camera so you can just see how it sits with the D750 in, because as I mentioned, trying to get a cage that didn't look absolutely huge and bulky with the D750 was a nightmare. Here we have our trusty D750, and I'll show you how it mounts. You get this little sort of slidey drop down section up at the top. There you go, just get the light in right, there you go. Now this is on 4 tiny little Allen threads, so if you undo the Allen bolts you can adjust the height, I suppose, of this little gripper. And what this gripper does is align with a little, it's just a little wheel, I suppose, really, that slides into your hot shoe. So you would attach this little piece to your hot shoe, like this, and then if we line this bad boy up, that then, obviously once you've set the height, which I've already done, just aligns in like this. Slide your camera in, done. And then you lock it down with the wheel. You can't tell at the minute because I've mounted it to a tripod, but there's also a standard sort of bolt, a thread underneath that would attach to the tripod mount under your camera, so it's secured from the top and the bottom. Obviously that's what you'd want to do. I've just put it together for this quick sort of demo. You can see that due to the shape, it doesn't interrupt at all with any of the ports on the side, so you can still attach your HDMI port to your video unit, your external monitors, that type of stuff. Your headphones and your audio in and out, they're not affected at all. It doesn't get in the way of, if you have, like the D750 does, a little fold out screen. That's all good, nothing gets in the way. Yeah, it's just really, really good. You know, I've got nothing but good things to say about it. It's put together well. It doesn't seem to be, you know, flimsy in any way, shape or form. And as I've mentioned before, you can see now that the D750 fits absolutely perfectly into the cage. The only thing I suppose you might see it as a downside would be that if you've got a battery pack, like a battery grip mounted, it won't fit. You can see it just raises it too high, there isn't enough space. But other than that, this now is set perfectly for attaching anything you need to. It means that I can quite happily, you know, use my live view, I can move my focus, I can attach other things, I can attach LED lights to it. If you've got standard sort of accessory port sizes, so if you wanted to add threaded bits and pieces, you can do, just to show that they are the right size. Obviously I'm attaching this upside down, but it's just because it's a standard size, just to show you what I mean. So things like magic arms will fit on perfectly. Basically, I've got nothing but good things to say about this. If you're in the market for a cage, even if you just want a little bit of extra protection for your D750, I would 100% recommend going over to Camtree and checking it out. It's the Camtree Hunt DSLR. As I mentioned before, it also comes as a shoulder rig, and I will review the rest of the shoulder rig later on. Keep an eye out for it. Cheers guys, catch you later.